Good evening. I would like to ask you to please rise and join me in the recitation of the Pledge of Allegiance. Please remain standing for the singing of the national anthem. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched, where so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Do you want me to sing them? Good evening. Welcome to the graduation ceremony for the Vernon Township High School class of 2022. As we begin the evening, I would like to recognize Dr. Karen Davino, our Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Charles McKay, our Assistant Superintendent, and all of the other administrators who took the time to join us this evening. In addition, I would like to welcome the members of our Board of Education, Mrs. Kelly Mitchell, the President, Mr. Joseph Sweeney, the Vice President, who will both be assisting with us at this evening's ceremony. I would also like to acknowledge the other dedicated members of the board, Mr. Johnson Annunziata, Mrs. Teresa Scora Coughlin, Mr. John Kraus, Mrs. Adina Luthner, Mr. Martin O'Donnell, Mrs. Jennifer Pellet, and Mr. Raymond Zimmerman. I would like to acknowledge the numerous educators who have worked tirelessly to ensure that each of our graduating seniors have successfully earned their diplomas. Most especially, I would like to thank Mrs. Trish Kosfeld and Mrs. Christy Riegler, who served as the class advisors for the class of 2022 for the past 3 years. Although Mrs. Riegler was unable to join us this evening, Mrs. Kosfeld, will you please stand? These advisors have worked tirelessly through some challenging times to ensure that each of these graduating seniors would be able to create memories despite the roadblocks and setbacks that have encompassed much of the last few years. These dedicated teachers have counseled, challenged, and encouraged these students for the past few years, and we're deeply indebted to them for all of their hard work. In addition, we are joined tonight by many of the homeroom teachers who consistently welcomed our seniors each morning. We'd like to thank all of them and every other staff member who has ensured that the school was up and running each day and who have played a significant role in the successful educational experience of our students. Welcome, parents and guardians of our graduating seniors who are here to share this special event with us. Having your child in attendance at this high school graduation ceremony is a great accomplishment. As such, I want to offer my most sincere congratulations to every parent and guardian, both those in attendance and those who are unable to be with us today. On behalf of the Vernon Township School District, I would like to thank each of you for entrusting us with your child's education and for working in partnership with us to bring your children to this day. And now, I would like to address you, our outstanding students. As I stand before you with great joy and pride, tinged with a bit of sadness and nostalgia, Ms. Colt, Mr. Demsack, and I want to congratulate each of you, the members of the Vernon Township High School class of 2022, as you reach a major milestone in your educational journey. It is my great honor and privilege to welcome you to your graduation ceremony. I had the privilege of working with many of you for the past 13 years, since you entered kindergarten in 2009. Your class president, Harry, was kind enough to share that many of you think of me as their grandmother, since we have been together for so long. Thank you very much for sharing that sentiment, Harry. As we continue this evening, I'd like to share a few thoughts with you. When Dr. Davino arrived in Vernon nearly 4 years ago, she created an introductory voice message with the song Humble and Kind playing in the background. That song is one of my favorites because it shares an important message using simple lyrics. Humble and Kind was written by Lori McKenna as she thought about the blessings and challenges that her children would experience. Tim McGraw made it famous, and as I focused on its lyrics, I thought it might be poignant for this evening's welcome. I will share parts of the song with you now. Hold the door, say please, say thank you. Don't steal, don't cheat, don't lie. I know you've got mountains to climb. Always stay humble and kind. When the dreams you're dreaming come to you, when the work you put in is realized, let yourself feel the pride, but always stay humble and kind. Don't expect a free ride from no one. Don't hold a grudge or a chip, and here's why. Bitterness keeps you from flying. Always stay humble and kind. Don't take for granted the love this life gives you. When you get where you're going, don't forget to turn around, help the next one in line. Always stay humble and kind. According to Tim McGraw, it's important to be reminded how impactful it can simply be to be kind to others, to show respect, compassion, and tolerance, to support diversity, and to have the strength to be humble in the midst of it all. Humble and kind. Kindness is the most straightforward of the two. From the smallest act in helping someone to a grand act, there is a fulfillment that is realized in being kind. Humility, on the other hand, is something you work on. It's a balancing act of the very emotions that propel achievement. Proud, but not boastful. Good, but not self-righteous, confident, but not arrogant, grateful, but never entitled. Humility believes that our humanity defines us, not our achievements. And so I ask you all to remember to be humble and kind. As I now continue with this welcome, I would like to invite our valedictorian, Wesley Sanders, to the podium to receive his medal. Okay, just wait 1 minute while I introduce your parents. I would also like to acknowledge his parents, Mr. and Mrs. Sanders. Would you please stand and be recognized? Congratulations on the achievements of your son and the role you played in his success. Wesley, would you please allow your parents to honor you by having them bestow your valedictorian medal at this time? I would now like to invite our salutatorian, Lindsay Burke, to the podium to receive her medal. I would also like to acknowledge your parents, Mr. and Mrs. Burke. Would you please stand? Congratulations on your daughter's outstanding accomplishments. Lindsay, would you please allow your parents to honor you by having them bestow your salutatorian medal at this time? Thank you. I would now like to invite all of our graduating seniors who are entering the military service following graduation to stand and be recognized. Although he was unable to be with us this evening, I would also like to honor Christian Ventimilla, who has already entered the Air Force Academy. At this time, may we please have all of these students' parents and guardians stand and be recognized. In addition, I would like to invite any other past or present military personnel to stand and be recognized for your service. Thank you, one and all, for your service to our country. Finally, before I conclude, I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the absence of a member of the class of 2022, Jordan Tank. At this time, we would like to express our deepest condolences to his family, who are joining us this evening as we remember Jordan. As the result of a grant written in Jordan's memory, Vernon Township High School was selected to train the senior class in the tenets of teen mental health first aid. This program was funded by the National Council for Well-Being, and the classes were taught by our very own Mr. Steve Down and Ms. Michelle Ginelli. Jordan's memory has been kept alive by providing our students with the tools necessary to help themselves and others in their communities who might be struggling with health issues. As our band plays In Heaven's Air by Samuel R. Hazo, I would ask everyone to join us in a moment of silence as we remember Jordan. Finally, in the words of John Gordon, there's nothing more powerful than a humble spirit who is driven by a bigger purpose. Be that kind of person today and every day. On behalf of Ms. Colt, Mr. Demsack, and I, we want to wish you, the members of the class of 2022, spirits that are humble and hearts that are kind. I would now like to invite Lindsay Burke, salutatorian of the class of 2022, to the podium for the salutatorian's address.
Good evening, Dr. Davino, Dr. Anderson, board members, administrators, faculty, families, and graduates. What does the word impossible mean to you? Does the realm of reality truly end at the sight of a flying pig, or is there a deeper meaning to the word? To me, impossible is what I'm doing right now, standing before an audience to tell my story. When I was 12 years old, I was diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder, meaning that I struggle with social interactions most people would consider rudimentary. Muttering a simple hello in the hallway is a nearly insurmountable task, so you can perhaps imagine the difficulty with which I speak to you all today. Throughout the past 6 years, I hid behind my diagnosis. I never initiated a conversation of more than a couple words to my peers, and they naturally didn't expect much of a response from me when spoken to. For the longest time, the only people at school that I could consistently rely on were my 3 siblings, and I thought it was impossible to break past the self-imposed boundary of social seclusion. But as I grew older, that began to change. During my 4 years at Vths, I came across teachers who I could connect with and find comfort in when I didn't have anyone at the time that I could really call a friend. As a freshman, my math teacher, Mr. Vths, taught me how to wield my own voice and speak up in class when I knew the answers, which was something I could never muster the courage to do in previous years. This showed me that my perceived limits might not be as resistant as I initially believed. I also met Mr. McCotter in my first year here as a part of the robotics club, who cordially invited me to the daunting world of team collaboration. Communication was a necessity for building our robot by a deadline, and with time, I learned to take on my role as a team member. It was a rough start, and the learning curve was steep, but I put in the work to verbalize my ideas and collaborate with others to develop them into a fully fledged robot. If I just stayed silent and denied my thoughts the honor of articulation, I never would have discovered the freedom granted by an organized team effort. Action has the power to incite a revolution of change, which in turn promotes self-growth. These are the lessons that we must all take to heart in our recognition of our own personal limitations, or better put, our impossibilities. We all have and will continue to face the impossible throughout our lives. That is a fact we cannot change. Therefore, we must turn our focus to what we can do. We are all in control of our own actions, and challenges simply redirect us along our path. In the end, only you can decide your fate. Even if something is impossible, the true measure of character is not the outcome, but how you respond to the imposed limitations on your journey to conquer your impossibilities. It should be noted, however, that there are many unique pathways that can be used to reach a goal. As we advance to the next chapter of our lives, new impossibilities will emerge from the unknown, and the reality is that everything isn't so black and white. There will be times when you feel like you have no control, and that's okay. Just remember that you don't have to tackle every issue as a whole to get all that you want out of life. It's the effort that counts. The saying that states nothing is impossible is blatantly false, yet should not be discarded entirely. Many things in this world are appropriately deemed impossible, but that doesn't mean we have to settle for a lesser outcome. From my own experiences, the word impossible means that something cannot truly be attained, but action can still be taken for personal advancement. This is where true determination comes into play, as it requires effort without the promise of reward. The sole motivation is a desire for change, regardless of whether the impact is noticeable. I was offered many alternatives to delivering my speech, and I decided that I wanted to try to speak. In fact, I needed to speak to deliver a message more important than any written words can deliver. It doesn't matter if my voice is shaking. It doesn't matter that I'm terrified beyond belief to be standing before you right now. All that matters is that I'm here, and I'm defying my impossibilities. I want to challenge you all to transcend your perceived impossibilities, to recognize that your story is never set in stone. The actions you take today set the course of your future, and you must not allow the impossible to alter the path you hope to invent for yourself. Thank you.
Well, class of 2022, we made it. Yeah, give yourself a round of applause. Nice. We are here today to celebrate one of the many milestones we will experience on our journey to protect and advance our society. I am the first generation born here in the United States of America. My parents are immigrants from Albania, which was a communist country. After the Berlin Wall fell in 1990, my parents, as well as many East Europeans, left their country and started their quest for freedom. During this dangerous journey, they were met with many obstacles that had them questioning their future. They moved to Germany to start their life there, but after a couple of years, they were forced to pack up their life and leave the country because they didn't have their German citizenship. This didn't stop my parents' dream of succeeding. They persevered and managed to make their way to America to plant their roots. They always tell me and my brother that being born here was the biggest gift they could give us. That's why we never got presents for our birthdays. My parents are perfect examples of the American dream, which means everybody is given a chance to succeed. Many of us have had dreams of our own since we started school, whether that was to be a teacher, doctor, scientist, or even a superhero. And now, at this stage, we are departing into the real world in hopes of fulfilling those dreams we have. Our country is built on dreams. The Founding Fathers had a vision of a united state where personal freedom and the spirit of innovation could thrive, removing the barriers that prevent people from being successful. Ever since I could walk, my dad has been telling me to get a job. So I did. I started my first job at 14 years old. I did what many other people in this town do, went to a Mountain Creek job fair. I learned from a young age what it means to be hardworking and being rewarded for that hard work. I remember being very excited for my first paycheck and so were my parents. They could start charging me rent. My parents were quick to remind me that I could always do better. When I would come home from work, school, or practice, I'd be hit with the same question. Did you do anything productive today? Or did you waste your time binge watching the newest episodes of Stranger Things? Hard work is not only shown by our parents, but also our educators, coaches, and guidance counselors. Whether it was our coaches pushing us hard to reach our best performance, or teachers pushing us to achieve our academic potential, or the guidance counselors working overtime to fix my schedule because I realized that AP statistics wasn't really my forte. We were shown examples of hard work every day, so now we are ready to apply those life skills wherever we go. For some people, working hard means working day and night, or studying for long hours. We could look at our fellow classmate, Joe Dunlop, for inspiration. He is the perfect example of what it means to overcome challenges and still make his way to school every morning with a smile on his face. Joe can't be here tonight to celebrate with us, but he made extraordinary efforts to show up to school every day despite the circumstances. Like Joe, I know of some classmates who also make the sacrifices to show up to school, even when life is tough on them and their families. Life isn't easy, but what helps are the memories we create here, like those Friday night football games, or the rowdy hockey games that were always being supervised by Mr. Foley. Don't be sad about water wars and senior weekend ending. Just be glad none of us got hurt. We will always go down as one of the most hardworking and rowdiest classes this school has seen. Now, as we begin our own journey, there are a few things to embrace. We have the personal freedom to choose whatever will help us accomplish our dreams, but being successful shouldn't be our only goal in life. We should try to be decent human beings and stay true to ourselves. The world is ours to explore and to contribute to. I would like to close with a quote by Ronald Reagan. There are no great limits to growth because there are no limits of human intelligence, imagination, and wonder. Let's always look to the people who push past the limits, like my parents and other refugees, like Joe Dunlop, like any number of exceptional people all around us who face each day with courage and hope. Thank you, and peace out, Class 2022. Roll Tide.
To put it lightly, the last 12 years have been one hell of a journey. We've faced numerous obstacles, yet created countless more cherished memories. We've persevered through more than a decade of school, yet it seems as if it were all a blur. Most importantly, we've been able to find what makes us unique, what we're truly passionate about. For me, this passion comes from playing the tuba. As a tuba player, I'll be the first to admit that tuba parts aren't always the most exciting. Most of the time, my part either consists of long held-out pitches or very, very repetitive patterns of notes. That is, if I even have a part to begin with. Often, the tuba simply rests for long stretches of time. Now at this point, one might begin to wonder why anybody would want to play the tuba. Although the tuba parts might seem boring, and definitely can be, they're fundamentally important for any band. Because the tuba is such a large instrument, it naturally plays the lowest notes. All of the other instruments in a band play off of these low pitches, and the tuba acts as a sort of anchor for the rest of the band. This anchor ends up being much more important to the quality of a band's sound than it might initially seem. When a group is playing without any low instruments to anchor the sound, it ends up sounding empty. It takes the support of a strong low brass section to provide depth and richness to the tone quality. However, that's not to say that a low brass section alone would be any different. A tuba on its own is certainly capable of having its own beauty, but it doesn't sound complete. Instead, it takes a network of instruments working together and collaborating with one another to create this complete sound. Any instrument has a certain amount of beauty on its own, but multiple instruments working in unison is what's truly capable of creating art. Just like in a band, where the cooperation of each and every member is essential for the group's success, having a strong support system is the key to a successful life. Each and every person sitting in front of me today has worked hard for the past decade to become a strong, resilient young adult. Yet still, having a strong network of people to support you and help you allows you to tackle even life's greatest challenges. We've been lucky enough to have our own support networks made for us for the past decade. Through highs and through lows, our parents, friends, and all of the faculty here have been there to support us along our journey. They've given us guidance when we didn't know where to go, reassurance when we weren't sure of ourselves, but most importantly, they appreciated us for who we were. Without the strong network of support, we wouldn't be nearly as resilient and as successful as we are today. We will walk out of here tonight with a diploma in our hand and the entire world ahead of us. We will each be going on our separate journeys, and regardless of where our lives take us, we're bound to face drastic changes in the coming months. We'll be leaving behind our support network here at Vernon, so it's essential that we continue to maintain and develop strong support systems throughout our lives as we meet new people. And as critical as it is to develop a support network of your own, it's equally important to be a part of others' people's support networks. Just as others can have a huge difference in your life, you can make a difference in theirs. In the future, try to take some time out of your day to care for those around you. Check in on them from time to time. Give them advice and reassurance when they need it most, and appreciate them for the individuals they are. Just like the tuba section in a band, who might play a boring part, but makes a huge difference on the band as a whole, by taking some of your time to help those around you, you can make the world a better place. In the words of American author Dale Carnegie, you can sing only what you are. You can paint only what you are. You must be what your experiences, your environment, and your heredity have made you. For better or for worse, you must play your own little instrument in the orchestra of life. Thank you. At this time, I would like to invite Kelsey Chenal, Maydeen Yamisha, and Alexander McCann to join me in singing the Vernon Township High School alma mater.
To thee, O Vernon High, sing with songs of joyous praise. Hail to thee, O Vernon High, raise the standard, bear it high. In our quest for truth and learning, you have answered every yearning. Bless the schools you'll always be. Alma mater, hail to thee. Hail to thee, O Vernon High, sing with songs of joyous praise. Hail to thee, O Vernon High, raise the standard, bear it high. As the days at school have lengthened, your ideals my life has strengthened. You will always honored me. Alma mater, hail to thee.
Good evening. I'm so grateful the rain stopped so we could all be together. 1983 was an interesting year. For the graduates before me, they are undoubtedly wondering why I am talking about 1983. After all, you were not born yet. Your parents and your grandparents were here and may recall 1983, or at least the 80s, for a number of reasons, like big hair, parachute pants, Capezio shoes, or some other crazy fashion statements. But here are a few important events that occurred in 1983. In 1983, the internet took another step toward its creation. Imagine, class of 2022, a world before the internet as we know it. Social media was not even a concept, and people communicated with each other through face-to-face conversations or handwritten letters. Also, Kilauea, one of Hawaii's longest erupting volcanoes, begins erupting and doesn't stop until 2018. With our Viking winters in Vernon, it's hard to even imagine what that must be like. The Washington Redskins beat the Miami Dolphins in that year's Super Bowl, and Karen Carpenter, a singer-songwriter you may not have heard of, dies. Japanese Americans who had been held in American internment camps finally received compensation for their internment during the Second World War. The U.S. Senate designates a federal holiday for Martin Luther King Jr., and Michael Jackson's Thriller, which you likely know, goes to #1 on the Billboard charts and stays there for 37 weeks. If you were a television fan, because there was no Netflix and no streaming services and no binge watching, 106 million viewers tuned in to watch the final show of the program MASH. By the way, the favorite motion picture that year was E.T., the Extraterrestrial. If you have not seen it, I highly recommend it. David Copperfield made the Statue of Liberty disappear, and Return of the Jedi was the highest grossing film in 1983. But here in Vernon, something different happened. Amidst all the news, the pop charts and movies, the advancements in technology, after all, the compact disc was becoming really big. I mean, who would have thought you could listen to music on a CD that way after many of us had purchased albums and used turntables prior to CDs? A life before headphones and AirPods, there was one. But here at Vernon Township High School, a new teacher was hired. His name was Mr. McKay. Mr. McKay brought a new energy to the high school, to his classes, and to his students. He inspired students to love literature and would do anything, yes, anything, to get their attention, keep their attention, and teach them. He knew that active learning and kinesthetic connection to content were ways that students would learn and retain what he taught them. For any students sitting in Mr. McKay's English class, you were in for a treat. For the graduates here, that may have been some of your parents or aunts or uncles or neighbors. In 1983, and for many years after that, Mr. McKay dressed up as his favorite literary character. And you know what? So did his students. With grand costumes, loud, boisterous, active lessons, something magical happened. Students learned and loved literature. Mr. McKay was famous for his lessons on The Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings books. He must have been overjoyed when that year, toward the end of 1983, the Nobel Prize was awarded to Lord of the Flies and the Pulitzer Prize was awarded to The Color Purple. What a great year for literature. He was also known for standing on desks to teach and staging elaborate reenactments of literature in the hallways amid other classes. Many students not in Mr. McKay's class wished they were. The energy he brought to Vernon High School was infectious, exciting, and coveted. Many wondered what he would do next. Mr. McKay continued his journey in Vernon and ascended through the administrative ranks, continuing to influence and inspire our community. He has served our district as an English supervisor and currently serves as our assistant as superintendent of schools. He has also served as an interim superintendent, but likely his most memorable administrative role was that of principal of Lounsbury Hollow School. If you or someone you know was lucky enough to be with Dr. McKay while he served as principal, you were in for a treat. To inspire students to read, Dr. McKay told his students he would put his desk on the roof if they read a certain number of books. Never tell students that you will go on the roof because this incentive is just too much. Dr. McKay moved his desk, chair, and other office items to the roof for a day. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. McKay celebrated what learning can and should be: fun. In just a week, Dr. McKay will retire from the Vernon Township School District, but his lasting legacy will live on. Last week at the Board of Education meeting, we gave Dr. McKay a special gift, and for our class of 2022, you will likely not return to the high school media center anytime soon. But when you do, it will forever be known as the Dr. Charles McKay Library Learning Commons. This small gesture from the Vernon Township School District honors the great man, wonderful teacher, supportive coach, mentor, and colleague that Dr. McKay is. I've been lucky enough that for the last 3.5 years of Dr. McKay's career, that I have been beside him for the first 3.5 years of my time in Vernon. Dr. McKay demonstrates the characteristics of greatness each and every day. Dr. McKay always says that education saves lives. He is right, and he and I undoubtedly agree on that fact. For the graduates of the class of 2022, and to parents, community members, faculty and staff, Board of Education members, we are grateful for the compassion, intelligence, energy, and professionalism he has gifted to Vernon. May our class of 2022 forever be inspired by the way he's shown us how to love literature, be part of something bigger than ourselves, get involved, and read, read, read every day, for there is nothing better than a good book. For the final time on the Vernon stage, I welcome Dr. Charles McKay for graduation remarks.
Thank you. Thank you. Dear God. All right. Seniors, I want to speak to you first, but I first want to thank Dr. Anderson and the staff at the high school for this wonderful ceremony. You've done a beautiful job. Thank you. Miss Mitchell, Mr. Sweeney, Dr. Davino, Dr. Anderson, and our administration, thank you for this opportunity. Parents, grandparents, aunts and uncles, isn't this a beautiful place to go to school? But tonight, seniors, I'd like to talk to you. In a few short minutes, you will stand up, take your tassels, move them to the other side of your mortarboard, and, like generations before you, you will instantly be high school graduates. At that moment, you enter into the liminal life space of someone who is neither here nor there. Vernon High School will literally and figuratively be behind you, and you instantly become part of our history. You now join a long line of graduates that spans back to 1975. Here in this very place, the countless proms, dances, pep rallies, pancake breakfasts. Helicopters have landed on this field. I know. Fires, auditions, championships, concerts, floods, gong shows, bonfires, carnivals, sleepovers. The yearbook originally in 1975 was black and white and about 12 pages. Poetry out loud competitions, zombie runs. Exchange students came here and they're coming here again. The Roaring Lion Chair Company, which the President of the United States called here to congratulate them. Trips to Boston, Disney, European countries, state games, theater productions, apple raids at Pochuck's, don't tell them, donkey basketball, jello wrestling, and many more shenanigans that created this building's history. Did you think you were the only crazy class? Although you have a good reputation. However, that building behind you, that high school, has now recorded one more period in its storied existence, and it's your class, the class that lived through COVID. You see, you've had the most unique history of any class that has ever come through here. I should know. You heard how old I am. You were the only class who has spent the entire 3-year COVID era in high school. You were one of the only groups of students this building has ever had that had to ask questions like this. Does the color of this mask match my outfit? What outside line do we need to get into to have our temperature checked by the assistant principal? Where's my shield? I'm going to lunch. Why is the window open? It's snowing out. How is this school if we're not in school? What's a victory sprayer, and why does the custodian have one? And why are there teachers outside my house cheering for me? And Mom, why do I have to get out of my pajamas? I'm only going to show them the ceiling of my room. Yes, you were the class that came to be relied on to open the Chromebook and Zoom. Oh, it didn't end there. You and your era, on a national level, became the subject of violent outbursts at board meetings and protests about what we were doing in education. You were the first era of students whose parents at first didn't want their kids to go to school. Then, after they had you home for a while, thought our teachers were the best invention since, I don't know, all-day kindergarten. And you responded, class of 22, by surviving. No one is going to state this was education's finest hour. But our teachers were resilient, exhausted, dedicated, and uber created as you looked on askance at a pandemic that irrevocably changed your experience as a child becoming an adult. And yet, through it all, what do we hear from you? Well, Wesley used the tuba in an orchestra as a metaphor for the support he felt from his teachers, his parents, and his classmates. Kudos. Lindsay spoke eloquently about overcoming all that has been thrown at her, stating triumphantly that all that matters is I am here. And Harry astutely stated that life isn't easy, but our goal should be to be decent human beings, which he is, as all of you are, because you've had the love and support of your families and the amazing teachers who work with you every day. You see, that building behind you is nothing without you. We learned that on March 13th, 2020. Empty of people, it is no better than a dry well. It may have made its mark on you when you were here, but only your presence engendered it into life. So you transcended this historically aberrant period to make your own memories. And really, that is what you carry away tonight along with your diplomas. Memories. And so do I. Both you and I will memorialize our time here with remembrances of things past, both good and bad, and hopefully realize that those future echoes down the historical corridors of our mind will bring us back to this place, this space, and this time over and over again, realizing that we had support, we were decent, and that we overcame everything to be here. As Harry said, life isn't easy, and as Wesley implied, support can be understated. But as Lindsay stated, all that matters is we are here. We are here. So seniors, you beat on. Boats against the current, borne back ceaselessly to the past, as Fitzgerald wrote in the last line of the Gatsby. May your past offer you comfort, knowing you were part of a historical and truly noteworthy time. To the people of Vernon, to the taxpayers, the families, administrators, and colleagues I have worked with in the past 40 years, I thank you for everything. Mrs. McKay and I leave this place, we will hearken back to our memories, as this school has played an outside role in our lives and the lives of our children. Vernon is a community which has come through a lot in the last few years, but things are good. Our history will continue. The schools and your children will thrive. Our fine administration, our excellent staff, and our amazing programs will continue to serve a community that knows its education system is the jewel in the crown, a jewel we all cherish. And so, Dr. Davino, it is my great honor to present to you the Vernon Township graduating class of 2022. Welcome and congratulations.
At this time, on behalf of the Board of Education, Dr. McKay, Dr. Anderson, administration, parents, and guests, Mrs. Mitchell, having completed all the requirements, I present to you the Vernon Township High School class of 2022.
Ready, Dr. A? Wesley Sanders.
Lindsay Renee Burke.
Harry Malile.
James Nicholas Burke.
Emily Catherine Walker.
Morgan Lynn Burke.
Megan Hertline.
Shannon Nicole Burke.
Kelsey Chanel.
Sky Port.
Alex McCann.
Maydeen Yamisha.
Manuela Agudelo Velasco.
Lydia Allheight.
Evan Amato.
Teresa Marie Oleta.
Joanne Baez.
Hannah Irene Bailey.
Jordan Tank.
Dylan Cole Bamper.
Isabella Barbarisi.
Rachel Barnable.
Justin R. Bell.
Julia Benezet.
Courtney Jasmine Maroney.
Jake Joseph Biasi.
Angel Belin.
Kate Josephine Blackmore.
Kaylee J. Bowes.
Sydney Bosma.
Krista Lynn Bauer.
Gabriella Brennan.
Lucas Patrick Brennan.
Martina Britch.
Sierra Lynn Brock.
Sean P. Broderick.
Ella Irene Jordan Brown.
Noah Robert Jordan Brown.
Danielle Teresa Bruce.
Melina Bruns.
Robert Bubanik.
Olivia Eva Birdsey.
Daniel Burke.
Zoe Burns.
Jaden Matthew Cabrera.
Justin A. Cabrera.
Katia Cabrera.
Patrick J. Cahill.
Kimberly Campbell.
Matthew James Caratazzolo.
Jeremiah Carfello.
Hector Joshua Cartagena IV.
Austin E. Carter.
Drayden Margarita Charman.
Tyler Charters.
Brianna Christine Simo.
Aiden J. Clifford.
Louis Cologne.
Matthew D. Coppers.
Julia Lynn Corsi.
Marissa Angela Costa.
Sean M. Coglin.
Kevin Noah Coulter.
Keith D. Zifra.
Anna Dayon.
Anicia DeSanti.
Noelle Maureen Debonta.
Nicolette Rain DeGroat.
Katarina A. Delaney.
Tyler Vincent DeLongis.
Kyla May Demarest.
Pamela DeMatteis.
Daniel Thomas Desart.
Adam James Dickerman.
Sophia Grace DiNocenzo.
Olivia Dome.
James Dorsey.
Mason M. Dreyer.
Joseph B. Donlop. Elena Taylin E. Banks.
Richard Echeverria Jr.
Tanyan Eisenberg.
Yusuf El-Kameri.
Jacob Ennering.
Matthew N. Fataruso.
Joseph Phoebus.
Jeremy A. Felix.
Isabella Marie Ferrari.
Alex Figueroa.
Drew Michael Fisher.
Erin Fleming.
Gabrielle Fligg.
Alexa J. Fran.
Aaliyah M. Gallagher.
Charlie Geiger.
Caitlin E. Gilmer.
Christopher M. Goritsky.
Tyler Greenwood.
Julia Gregory.
Sydney R. Grafone.
Erica Christine Jory.
Matthew G. Hato.
Julia Hagedorn.
Christina Charlotte Hall.
Estella J. Hallecker.
Keith R. Haltner.
Reagan Hamilton.
Dylan Hammer.
Natalie Ann Hassert.
Melanie Ray Heller.
Nathan J. Henry.
Kayla Ray Llanos.
Hayden Grace Imperato.
Sky F. Ivansich.
Michael Izzo.
Shamaya Johnson.
Anne-Marie Kocher.
Elizabeth Grace Keene.
Raymond William Carrison.
John Kowalski.
Aiden Kazakowicz.
Madison Page Kresnomowitz.
Abby LaGreca.
Rose Lama.
Laura Linda Landon.
Antonia Dorothy LaRose.
Christina A. Lavarini.
Jaden Xavier LeBron.
Logan Joseph Lagore.
Alana Levy.
Grace Marie Logie.
Kaylee Lasco.
Alexandra Lupia.
Skylar Gray Lupino.
James J. McFadden Jr.
Madison McPherson.
Elizabeth Magella.
Jacob Miles Mann.
William Murata Labragina.
Colin Sean Mayo.
Michael R. McCafferty.
Jordan R. McCann.
Nicholas Ryan McCann.
Patrick M. McCurry.
Patrick J. McElduff.
Colin T. McGrath.
Emma Marie McKeon.
Ryan S. McLaughlin.
Leandra McMahon.
David McMillan.
Julia M. McQuaid.
Lucy McRae.
Christopher Young Mixner.
Amelia M. Meneses.
Amber Lee Manier.
Jade Marie Myers.
Andrew Miller.
Cassidy Moore.
Maxwell Lawrence Morosov.
Jenna Brianna D. Moser.
Skylar V. Moynihan.
Nolan Malali.
Connor Joseph Mullane.
Eric Munheg.
McKenna M. Mutz.
Brandon Richard Nolte.
Dylan Joseph Nasty.
Thomas O'Brien.
Daniel O'Connell.
Thomas Patrick O'Toole.
Mia Rose Obraka.
Raziel J. Ojeda.
Sophia Osi.
Christopher Anthony Parisi.
Kayla Patterson.
Sarah Elizabeth Petak.
Margaret C. Pavilion.
Samara Mache Pruden.
Robert Rayfield.
Zachary Redding.
Ryan E. Reed.
Colleen Nicole Riondo.
Emily E. Road.
Emmanuel Rivera Jr.
Jonasia Faith Rodriguez.
Matthew Rogers.
Gwen Kayla Brush.
Carly R. Santana.
Idalis Santiago.
Shane Saulnier.
Olivia Schaffer.
Mackenzie Rose Schneider.
Seth Schneider.
Caitlin Elizabeth Scott.
Gabriel M. Scotto.
Aaron Serrano.
Dylan Shea.
Justin Simone.
Isabella Josephine Singaglia.
Hunter R. Smith.
Madison Snook.
Adriana Soto.
Brandon M. Stackhouse.
Sophia Staley.
Charles E. Stander.
Evan James Steinbeck.
Peter Nicholas Sweetman.
Abigail Tall.
Johan Tascone.
Matthew Tavares.
Terry Tzakis.
Tyler Quick Thompson.
Elisa Chelsea Teneo.
Estrella Torado.
Anna Torba.
Jaden A. Torres.
Maya K. Torres.
Kennedy Trong.
Antonia Tucci.
Viosa Ukela.
Daniel J. Uva.
David Esteban Valarezo.
Chandler Van Blarkum.
Ali Van Gulik.
Brianna Lynn Van Orden.
Dylan Van Dam.
Luke T. Van Gorder.
Julia Catherine Veccarello.
Leah Verge.
Allison J. Vervat.
Christian Andreas Fintamella.
Alexa Grace Vizzini.
Kaylee Noel Walker.
Riley Catherine Wallace.
Faith Marie Waller.
Zachary Q. Wasberg.
Tanasia Washington.
Lily Elizabeth Welch.
Megan Marie Westdyke.
Amanda Weston.
Zachary Wetzel.
Eva Michelle Wong.
Joseph Wilson.
Theodore Wilson.
Logan A. Winstock.
Caitlin Elizabeth Witters.
Kelly Alexis Witters.
That's it. Great job, ladies. Nice.
Samantha Waluchek.
Jaden Wright.
James Robert Tulick.
Caitlin Wynn.
Veda Yessi.
Liam Christopher Young.
Allie Elizabeth Zambrowski. Let's all give another big hand to the class of 2022. At this time, I'd like to invite and welcome up Miss Sky Port, who's going to sing us a song, Miley Cyrus's The Climb.
I invite you all, my friends, to sing along. I hope this is fun. I can almost see it, that dream I'm dreaming, but there's a voice inside my head saying you'll never reach it. Every step I'm taking, every move I make feels lost with no direction. My faith is shaking, but I gotta keep trying, gotta keep my head held high. Always gonna be another mountain, always gonna wanna make it move, always gonna be an uphill battle. Sometimes you're gonna have to lose. Ain't about how fast I get there, ain't about what's waiting on the other side. It's the climb. The struggles I'm facing, the chances I'm taking, sometimes might knock me down, but oh, I'm not breaking. I may not know it, but these are the moments that I'm gonna remember most. Yeah, just gotta keep going, and I Sometimes I'm gonna have to lose. Always gonna be another mountain. Always gonna wanna make it move. Always gonna be an uphill battle. Sometimes I'm gonna have to lose. Keep on moving, keep on climbing, yeah. It's all about the climb. Yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
Concludes. Sorry. After our senior class president, Harry Mullally, concludes our graduation ceremony for the class of 2022, students will be processing off the field back into the building to receive their diplomas. After all graduates have returned to the building, the guests will then be asked to exit the bleachers to join their graduates at the front of the school building, starting with the bottom row first, and then the next, etc. Thank you for your cooperation and for sharing your children with us. At this time, I would like to invite Harry back to the podium for his final remarks.
Love you too. Members of the class of 2022, as a sign of our unity, I invite you to stand with me and turn your tassel from right to left to signify our outstanding accomplishment. Behind you, all your memories. Before you, all your dreams. Around you, all who love you. Within you, all you need. Mr. Taylor, we are ready for our recessional. Thank you and have a wonderful night.